Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From the original walk-ons, Burbank and Nicholson, welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro with us today, and Jordan Kinch is back in the studio. Wes Reynolds will be with us today a little early, first hour instead of the second hour today to adjust to his schedule. Scott Rabelais, Randy McKay will be with us today. We'll have our consensus golf picks. LSU and Kentucky tip in about 30 minutes to open the SEC basketball tournament. We got wall-to-wall tournament basketball today. Of course, the A-10 is already underway with St. Bonnie's and LaSalle, and you can find basketball at any time in any phase of the game today. Starting already.
Getting old, Charlie, when McNamara coaches his team.
Yeah.
He takes his first team, Siena, to March Madness, and Speedy Claxton takes his team.
And how long? What was the time differential from Siena punching their ticket and Syracuse firing their coach?
I don't know. It's at the box on assignment, Charlie.
Yeah, so was I. But Syracuse, McNamara, such a part of that national championship run. They get in, and Syracuse fires their coach on the same day.
Yeah, and then you have a guy go for 83 in the NBA, and people are talking about it. I was listening to Gus and Kelly on VEASAN, and they were talking about that 1977. David Thompson, George Gervin. I was talking to Tom yesterday, telling him that story beforehand, not even knowing what was going to go with the free fries story. So
that was the free fries game. This was the free throw game.
Well, manipulation, and to go back on that, and people say, listen, Kobe's 81. You don't think he took most of the shots, if not all, in the fourth quarter, too. So, a lot of records are manipulated, but not. That's on the last day of the season. That's when the Spurs had the division clinched, and their seeding was set. It was so as soon as he got not as soon as he got the record, they let him score about 6 more points, and then they pulled him early to mid-third. Early to mid-third, he had his record. Early to mid-third, we had free fries.
And you remember the last day of the season, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal for the scoring title, where Robinson scored 70.
I don't remember that one as much.
Yeah,
no.
It was for the scoring title. It wasn't for a record.
Same thing as Gervin and Thompson.
Yeah, so, we've seen this before. For the record, how many people are alive that saw Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game in Hershey, Pennsylvania? Because there's no video that exists of it. We're now talking about something that happened in the 1960s in front of, I want to say, less than 5,000 fans. I don't know how many people were alive.
How many free throws did he have in that game?
That's a good question. I need to look that up.
I can look it up.
How many people actually saw that game that are still alive to tell us about it?
You know what we have, that iconic picture.
The 100. Yeah.
Well, it was the photographer that told him, said, hey, hold this up.
Yeah.
Or you don't even have that.
Right.
The photographer say, hey, just hold this up. It's kind of like, the kids, sixth grade. They hold up,
two of the most
they even do that didn't they do it Flaugier, Armando, Nando Duplantis, and I'm a freshman or whatever kind of
right.
When they first
two of the most iconic moments in basketball history we have no video of that I know of. There's nothing about Chamberlain's 100-point game, and to my knowledge, have you ever seen video of Chaminade beating Virginia when Ralph Sampson was there?
Oh, I saw video.
There's video that exists of that game somewhere?
I think so. I think they should. Sports Center ran highlights.
I've never seen it. And that was back before everything was on everywhere. I'm not sure there may be, but I haven't seen it.
Assisted John Burke here, 28 of 32
for
Chamberlain at the line that day. Very good. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
28 of 32. That's a lot.
It is a lot. Of course, back then, Chamberlain lived at the free throw line. There weren't a whole lot of guys.
He
that could guard
did
him.
live at the free throw line. It was, and listen, the one thing is, Bam's not a star on those guys' level.
No,
and so everybody, but I don't want. Part of it, you kill the NBA because this is a tanking team that allowed it to happen in Washington. Okay, but this is not the first time they've had some manipulated type of scoring efforts in the NBA.
Well,
The key thing about that Jazz Spurs game is an odd 5 p.m. local time start. So the Nuggets played like at 2:30, and it was like 12 and 2:30 games, 12-1 and 2:30 games. So they were finished, so the Spurs knew exactly what they had. What I can remember, and I was only 10 that day, was the Spurs just let the Jazz score quickly to increase the amount of offensive possessions. But he had over 50, I think like 52, 53 at half. He could have gone for 100. They wanted to get the scoring championship, the scoring title, and get out.
Yeah.
Is what they wanted to do. But to me, that ain't the biggest. I can't believe what DeRosa did. I cannot believe when you're asking, that's fine. You want to pray for American pride. That's fine. You want to think Tariq Skubal, nobody in that clubhouse is faulting him for leaving early with his, this contract situation and the amount of money that he has there. Whether he was really torn or not, I'm sure that was part of it because, man, it's a dream team pretty much for the Americans in this World Baseball Classic, and it's right on the heels of a lot of this spike in sports patriotism with the hockey victory. The men and the women, it's just, man, you can't ask these guys to sacrifice like that and you not know the damn rules of the format. There's four I mean, it just blows my mind. Italy's undefeated. What are you doing?
Yeah, what Jim is referring to is the fact the United States does not have their ticket punched to the next round, and they need some help tonight. They've got multiple ways they can do it. The Italians can beat Mexico, and that would do it. Aaron Nola will be pitching for Italy for part of the game tonight. Or if Mexico wins and scores 5 or more runs, the Americans get in. But if Mexico wins and scores 4 runs or less, the United States is out. And it's a miscalculation by DeRosa, who did not know the rule. And there's no way you can excuse that. You're given an assignment of this magnitude. This is not an obscure thing. This is how do you get to the next round. This happens in soccer all the time, in pool play. Okay, so it's not like it's this obscure format that's never been used in any sport. He's got to know. He's got to know, and he didn't. And because of that, he managed the game accordingly, and now the United States has got a hope tonight. So in a way, you had a good line. I'll give you credit for it before the show tonight. You say, in a way, Aaron Nola is pitching for the Americans tonight.
I'd say in a way, Nola is pitching for the Americans. No,
he is.
Look, it's equivalent to spring training. Spring training is going right now. He's going to throw 3 or 4 innings. Skeens went 4.
Yeah, 60,
Skeens went 4.
70 pitches for Skeens, I think it was. Yeah, something in that area. So you were at the box last night. Your first chance to see LSU in person.
Man, it's good to see Tom and Lori and some of the other Creighton parents too.
Yeah.
Of all of our trips to Omaha. So it's kind of cool that they're coming in, and then they're going down to New Orleans for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against Tulane, who, by the way, set a record at Shuckers Park. Right across from
against Mississippi State last night,
yeah, Shuckers Park. So Mississippi State and Tulane. I wish that we could play a few more games down there, non-conference early in the season instead of some of the weak competition. But Johnson knows what he's doing. But Charlie, at first thing, I had been in the box in a while, and I have the same effect because my son just played, good finish. It's not that far removed from playing ball, and you have a wide range of playing surfaces, and quality of. And, whether I go to Minute Maid or whatever it is now in Houston, I'm just or Petco in San Diego, I'm like, how does anybody make a damn error in the infield on these things? I mean, they're just so perfectly manicured. And I could not believe how sloppy LSU is in the field. Charlie, that was unbelievable.
I can't believe the first 4 innings especially were bad. So this is what I saw last night, and I was in the stands last night as well. I saw first of all, if you want to start with the positive, they came from behind. They scored 8 runs. That's good. Cerna, the freshman, comes through with the grand slam, so you did get the big hit. All of that is fine. I get some of the sloppy baseball, okay? In the first couple of innings, you had, I think it was 2 wild pitches, an error, another error that's called off, and just really
one that's not in the box scores. You got a reversal on that.
Yes.
That was very close. They kind of got a call there.
You walked 4, you hit 1, and you threw 2 wild pitches in the first 3 innings.
On the catcher, and the catcher, he does what he's supposed to do. He just throws it in the guy's back.
Right. He creates the angle, and then he makes a bad
I mean,
throw.
the Creighton base runner at first. You know, there's some really close pickoff calls, and man, college has to take the MLB record. Once you used to watch an MLB baseball with the limited pickoff attempts, and then you see a guy going over and over and over. When did you say you left in the third inning? It was 2 hours in almost. I mean, come on, man. That you just eliminated. Nobody wants to see pickoff attempts. Nobody.
And the baseball. This is the baseball part that bothers me about last night. It's Ricken going over the first that many times. Okay, it's the second inning. It's 1-0, man. Throw the ball to the plate.
It's the bottom of the lineup.
It could be Babe Ruth up there. Throw the ball to the plate.
Okay, but he's close, and he might have even gotten a guy.
He did. He's got a very good move.
Okay, but then the guy. Did you see what he did? He baits the throw, and I'm like, well, he's not going anywhere now because he's almost got, normally if you get close to picked off, you just hanging close. You're playing safe. He baits him. He goes way off. He makes a throw. I mean, just an easy throw. He can't even slide back in. There's not even a play. He's in a pickoff, and they throw it away.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, whoa! It was Charlie U12. You're coaching U12. I don't know, like mid-level U12. You're pulling your hair out with if your team is doing that in the field.
Yeah, that's when I'm after the second one. I'm sitting the pitching coach out and going, listen, get your focus right, get your mind right. So I didn't like that. York, listen, I get that LSU was starting to build a little bit of momentum. You can't go from first to third on a ball left field, son. You weigh 300 pounds, okay? That can't happen. You can't have a second baseman trying to make a Willie Mays catch in right field when the outfielder's coming on. You got to call him off. Those are the things that, man, look, that's correctable, okay? That's not you threw a wild pitch. The steal going down to second base, you throw the ball in the center field. Those are, hey, man, look, this is baseball fun. This is not the things you see Johnson's teams do. And 18 games deep now, those are still just, concerning. Give him credit. Santiago Garcia coming in to pitch the last 2 2/3 innings and looking fantastic for a guy who's pretty lightly raced was great. And the fact that they came back, it's something to feel good about for Cerna, who'd had a rough first 3 innings, hit the grand slam. Still a lot to work on, but at least they got a win.
Over here at the original walk-ons, and we got action going on. 16-13 Pitt over NC State. Pitt that got the last-second putback with less than a second to go against Stanford. Avoids a rematch of Stanford and NC State, where Stanford beat NC State in Raleigh. But Will Wade's team, who is on the slide coming down the stretch here, still safely in. But this would be a damaging loss and might put them a little bit on the bubble here with a damaging loss. Early Pitt lead there. We also have early on, it's Maryland and Iowa. This is a rematch in a game that Maryland won in College Park, the 9 seed against the 17 seed. Maryland wins yesterday against Oregon, early 4-3. Maryland over Iowa. Here at the original walk-on Saturday, March 28th for the Zach Bryan concert. It's our pregame. It's a smoke show, crawfish boil, and tailgate party. Live music, Go DJ at 11 a.m., Chase Tyler Band at 3 p.m., crawfish and jambalaya available for purchase. Outdoor big screens to watch LSU baseball and softball games. Rain or shine, pregame starts here. Tiger Stadium concert comes a little bit later. General admission tickets are $15. VIP is $110. Every presale ticket gets you an entry to win a pair of Zach Bryan Club seats. That's walk-ons, smoke show, crawfish boil, and tailgate party. Saturday, March 28th. pre-gaming for the Zach Bryan concert.
Live at the original Walk-Ons, live at Lunch 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
Wes Reynolds an hour early with his golf picks and more. So, Wes, we appreciate you you juggling around your schedule to accommodate us and come on and do your weekly spot. What was the biggest takeaway last night, Wes? The 83 points in Miami, the Mark DeRosa not knowing the format, or I guess Baltimore getting buyer's remorse and finding a doctor to give them a favorable hometown physical review.
Probably all three, but speaking of hometown, I was dialed into something that you guys had locally over there in Lake Charles, Louisiana last night, and that was McNeese State.
How about those
I had
games?
to close out a money line parlay, and I don't bet those very often. And people think that those are easy money as bettors. They are not, because I had McNeese to close it out. And I was like, man, they're chasing the game the whole time. They were down to these guys, to RGV, pretty much the whole game, and they found a way. And, I had it with Wright State, who also had to come back from down in the Horizon Championship. And you think those bets are easy, man. They are not. And that was very McNeese State, but credit to them. And now they're favorites over Stephen F. Austin, despite the fact they come off that triple overtime.
Wes, they were fortunate. You were fortunate.
Yeah.
It's not one of those 50. They should have lost. And they pulled it out. The big three at one of the overtimes. And, this is funny because they have an emerging star and a freshman in Larry Johnson who sealed it last night with the steal in the finish, when they were up 2, when it looked like they were kind of milking clock. I forgot who they were playing again, and they were, and it looked like they were going to. Even the announcer said, "Oh, they're going to play for the 3 and play for the win here." It was, and they threw the ball, and he anticipated. He's been really, really productive coming in the stretch for McNeese State, who can be. They love playing the bully ball, but can be a little bit skill challenged, offensively challenged, and he's a guy that can fill it up for him right now. So that was supposed to be, that was just supposed to be a formality for Stephen F. Austin and McNeese State to play in the finals. It got there, but yes, it wasn't without a lot. And Stephen F. Austin had all they could handle in the first game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the announcer was even commenting on McNeese. It's like, man, they're not spread out. Like, they're so condensed offensively. Like, they're all, like, on top of each other. And you'll see that in some of these games as you're betting totals. And, these guys, they just grind it out and they run clock because this is a one and done in a lot of these one bid leagues. So you will see this get tight down the stretch where points really come at the premium late.
Before we get to your golf picks, a busy schedule in college basketball today. Who are we on?
Yeah, already in action here with Pitt early in the Iowa under, but a couple I did play that are later on today. I like West Virginia getting the points against BYU. I think that extra day of prep defensively, and West Virginia, of course, beat BYU a couple weeks ago in Morgantown. BYU actually finally picked up a win outside of Provo, which they had only done like one time in the last 2 months, pulling away from Kansas State late. But I like West Virginia here. Obviously, there's the urgency for the Mountaineers as they're kind of out right now on the outside looking in. So I think that's going to be tough for BYU. A really good defensive game planner is Hodge. Remember him from North Texas, where they really grinded you. They grinded you to a halt, and they're the team that likes to play low score, and they're not going to be a willing participant to run and gun. I don't think with BYU like Kansas State was last night. But speaking of run and gun, that's what you got at the Big 12 last night. I think all the overs hit, by the way, in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City with that weird like LED floor that's made of glass, and yeah, it's been really weird, and a lot of the players haven't liked it, but it hadn't hurt scoring at all. And I think tonight in the nightcap you get Oklahoma State and TCU. Oklahoma State wants to run TCU. Jamie Dixon, they have to grind it out a little bit. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, so I like the over 157.5 in the nightcap there in the Big 12.
Wes, how you feel about games where you got a must-win? Auburn absolutely has to win today, and they're playing against a team that's playing out the string in Mississippi State. Auburn's got to win this game. State's lost 5 in a row, but the last game they won was against Auburn. Lenardi's got Auburn as the first team out as we start play today. That game's at 2 o'clock Central.
Charlie, I think more often than not, it obviously depends on a game-by-game scenario here, but more often than not, I think that's baked into the number of a team that's in that must-win situation. So I would be more inclined to be on the Bulldogs in that spot, getting 7.5, but they've been banged up a lot this year. So if I have to, I may end up being on that a little bit small because I think Auburn, look, I don't know if they deserve to be in the tournament. I know they beat Florida and they've gotten good wins, but I'm not totally convinced, as Bruce Pearl is being their bag man and kind of crapping on Miami of Ohio a little bit, and saying, oh, they shouldn't be in and whatnot. Now he's changed his tune because he got the blowback. But we do have a lot of those scenarios of must-win today. My alma mater, Indiana, in that spot tonight. And that number has now gone to 6, and I believe that's the number of times Northwestern has beaten Indiana in a row. Chris Collins has kind of had this program's number. So, yeah, I thought that was curious that Indiana got bet out to that much after they blew that lead in Assembly Hall a couple weeks ago. I think Indiana's probably right, but now if you're laying 6, you're probably a little bit late to the party. But I think the Hoosiers actually need 2 in Chicago. I think tonight and then having to beat Purdue tomorrow. I think if they do, the bubble is so weak that probably gets Indiana in the tournament.
And any more before we get to the golf, Wes?
We'll be adding them throughout the day. I'm just getting going, looking at the card here tonight. But I'd probably be inclined. We were talking about that McNeese-Stephen F. Boston. I'd probably be inclined to be on the under in these conference championship games, especially in the first half. Maybe some nerves early. It's down to like 134.5, 135. I think we get an under in the Southland tonight. I think that turns into kind of a rock fight between these two.
One of the reasons Will Wade accepted that job, it was predetermined, with the hurricane hit the Lake Charles area and demolished it. They built that new arena, and it's the host site of, the past 2 years, and I think this year and at least next year. So, no matter, it's not a rotating thing. It's not seed basis because Stephen F. Austin is the 1 seed. McNeese State, the 2 seed here, 3.5, 134.5. Yeah, 134.5 does seem a little high for that. Those teams are going to be playing very, very hard defense because they're not getting in as net large, even as soft as the bubble is. All right, let's get to the golf, Wes, and down in Florida. And who are we looking at?
Yeah, we start off with Colin Morikawa here, and he's been hit a lot, so he's been very popular, but the reason why he finally ended that couple-year drought, won at Pebble Beach, and then was T7 at the Genesis, 5th at the Arnold Palmer. Really ideal course for his ball striking, but one of the things about handicapping the players, you don't want to look at course form too much because it's erratic for everybody because there's so much water on the course and there's so many ways to get in trouble. You would think Morikawa would be good here every year. He's got 1 top 10, though, in 5 appearances, but he's striking the ball really well. He's confident. I think he's in a good frame of mind. He and his wife are expecting. They announced that after Pebble Beach. So I think Morikawa continues his good play. Ludwig Aubert, another guy who really struggled to start the year and then kind of found something a little bit at the Genesis, even though he didn't contend. The ball striking was better. And how about last week at Bay Hill where he was third? He was first for distance, second for accuracy, first for total driving, 5th in greens and regulation, second for ball striking, second tee to green, and he also lives in Ponte Vedra Beach, so he practices. This is like his home course, basically at TPC Sawgrass, so I think he goes solid this week, as I do Cameron Young, who's in the mid-30s. Never has finished better than 51st in 4 appearances, but if you look at the recent form, inside the top 10 in 8 of his last 15 overall starts, including that win at the Wyndham over there in North Carolina at Sedgefield. He led the field off the tee last week. I think he could go well as well. And then 3 guys kind of in the 40-ish to 1 range. Victor Hovland, who, he's been erratic here. Speaking of erratic form, C3 in 2023, 9th the year prior. And then last year he sat dead last after round 1 because he shot an 80. And then golf is going to golf. he shoots 80 in the first round here last year, and then he wins the Valspar the following week. So I thought he played solidly at Bay Hill after a couple down performances in California. Matt Fitzpatrick, by the way, the putting did kind of return a little bit. He was 14th in the field in Orlando last week. The irons have been good pretty much all season long. I think that serves him well here. And then Minwoo Lee in the 40-ish will lead off the tee, but the iron play was really good last week in Bay Hill. He was sixth here on debut in 2023. So 6 kind of like mid-range guys. I didn't go too far down the board. Obviously, Scotty not in the best form with the irons off that peak and historic numbers of last year. And then Rory, how is the back legitimately feeling? So I didn't fade either of those guys, but I hadn't played either of them either, even though that Rory number is starting to drift.
All right. Yeah, Rory it has delayed his arrival down there because of some back spasms. So that may be affecting his line a little bit as well. All right, Wes, are you posting your picks later today on your Twitter account?
Well, I'll have it on our VSiN page.
Okay.
But I'll probably throw a couple out there though. We're about to get started here with LSU in Kentucky. What's your read, guys?
Who cares? I mean, with disinterested apathy. I mean, all of the above. I mean, it's your fourth year, your third year, you're 15th place. The fourth year, you're in 16th place in a 16-team league. I'm sorry.
One LSU's bigs who has been playing reasonably well of late is out in Robert Miller. Kentucky, if you ask me, has got to win this game to stay off the 8-9 line. I mean, if they lost this, they'd be in a much worse situation bracketology-wise, and they've never played in the first game of the SEC tournament.
Line is inflated. Okay, it's been moving up, but because LSU outplayed Kentucky flat out stole it from LSU here in Baton Rouge early in the season.
I remember that. Malachi Moreno at the buzzer.
Yeah, maybe Kentucky's focus is heightened in this mismatch on paper. Thank you, Wes. We appreciate it, buddy. Good luck to you this weekend.
You bet, Vallis. Thank you.
All right, don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Mariana Haynes, Natalie, and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get when you dial 296-0060. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title.
Live at the original Walk-Ons, live at Lunch 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Uh-oh, they let the big dog out.
Boom! Out of nowhere.
It's time for the big dog, Randy McKay, with his best picks.
Big dog, you headed to the Sammy Hagar concert, huh? I can't drive. 55, huh?
Yeah,
Where's
I
he
had a shot
playing?
to go see him, so I figured he's doing a residency up in Vegas, so heading up there tonight to finally go see him, and should be a good venue there at Park MGM.
You ever been to Cabo Wabo?
I have. Actually, I met him in Cabo Wabo. He was just sitting at his cantina, just hanging out, and I went up and talked to him a little bit when I was eating at his cantina there, where came off the cruise ship.
How was he? Okay, all right. How was he?
Oh, he was just a mellow guy, just hanging out, happy to see everybody. Thanks everybody for coming in his restaurant, and just like a normal Joe.
Man, they got a stage set up there too, Charlie. I don't know if you've been there, but
I was there last year.
Okay, all right.
Cabo, yeah.
Listen to Charlie, huh?
Mm-hmm. I'm a fan.
The Cabo Wabo?
Yeah, we were down.
Was he around?
He wasn't there that day, but I've seen him. I saw him with Van Halen more than once. I've never seen him solo, but good singer. I like his stuff.
There you go. Hey, conference championship week. Any theories? Any approaches? We got some of these teams that, like Pitt, like Maryland, with early leads in the first half that already won, have a game under their belt, and seems like they just. Sometimes these dogs can make runs against these teams that sort of have their seeding predetermined. Okay, they might be, they're maybe a 7, may move to an 8 or a 6, depending, or something like that. So Any philosophies for championship week?
Yeah, you definitely got to look into that and see how they're going. We had Pitt yesterday, and that they got the outright victory. There was a underdog, which was a good start for us. And just a couple bets yesterday. Only got a couple bets today, but like you said, you're looking for scenarios where teams need to, kind of get it going, or they're going to hit the highway here, and so you just kind of factor that in a little bit, along with the lines are going to jump up and whatever your numbers are towards that. But there's definitely some opportunities here to get on a hot team and get them to go all the way through. There's been a lot of that over the years where these these lower rated, and we've even seen it already where some of these smaller teams that are ranked like 6th or 7th in the league have won the conference tournaments. So we've seen that as well.
Who did you have as an outright winner yesterday?
Pittsburgh there.
Oh, Pitt, yeah. Yeah, they covered easy and got the putback with less than a second to go to get that one there. McKinnon and Sutton back-to-back threes for LSU, and they're kind of trading buckets with Kentucky early. It's 11-10 Kentucky at the 15-minute mark in the first half in Nashville. Who are you and your crew on today?
Yeah, we were part of the steam there with Kentucky, so that's another team that needs to kind of get it going that has been kind of stagnant this year. And they had a good game the other day against Florida, at least a good comeback at the end where they kind of hang in there. But another team that needs to get it going. We were part of the steam there from 6 up to 8 there with Kentucky. We got them, and then the other SEC matchup here, we have a team that's been pretty good for us, and a team that hasn't been playing very good. We have a Mississippi State who's been covering spreads, even though they got a pretty bad record. But we got that plus. That's one I like better than the Kentucky one, +7 and a +7.5 here versus the Auburn team that's somehow still on the bubble, which is kind of a joke. But we'll see how it goes.
You must have had a good number in that game on Saturday, because I saw it closed at 5.5 and it fell 6.
Yeah, we fell on the push there, but I've been betting them a couple weeks before that too. They've been hanging in, and of course they were hanging in against Florida, and Florida does what they do. They've been on big runs here, and that's going to be a tough force to stop, I think, in the tournament here. If anybody can beat Florida, that team looks pretty complete to me.
So, like the teams that are out of it and have to win the whole thing, your expertise in the NFL. It's kind of like the New Orleans Saints were this year, where can you identify a team that is, they're out of it, they're out of contention, they don't have a chance to make it to the playoffs or the tournament, but they're playing hard. They're still playing hard coming down the stretch, versus teams that are kind of, their seeding is set, so to speak, in the NFL playoffs. Isn't that the teams you like to back in this situation?
Yeah, definitely. You'll see them, throughout the conferences here. You'll see some of these teams that are playing that way, and teams that have played right, but just have been losing games down the way, and you'll see that with some of these conferences. So you just kind of got to check it out. Some of these conferences like the Mountain West are wide open. Any of those teams could win there. There's a lot of good odds there. A lot of people are pushing UNLV and Colorado State, so also look for that, because that might only be a one bid league too this year, so they're all going to be trying to go for that one. So even though Utah State will probably still get in there, so that might be a 2-bid league. But just look and see how all these teams are sitting, and keep an eye on that bubble watch where these guys like Lenardi and this are pretty close on there. Just see who's on the bubble and that kind of thing, and then you can go from there.
Do you like taking a team on a bubble or fading them? Because the lines are baked up, they're a little inflated, like the team that's got to win to stay in contention for NFL playoffs.
Yeah, I like to go against those got-to-win teams, because usually those got-to-win teams, the line gets a little higher, and most of the times if teams that need to win aren't very good. They've already proven themselves not to be very good teams, so you're getting a little extra value there, especially if you got a live underdog.
NC State with a 13-0 run and now a 15-3 run has taken a lead. 4 minutes to go in the first half. NC State 40, Pitt 37. First media timeout in Nashville, Kentucky 11, LSU 10, 14:49 to go in the first half. Maryland 26 and Iowa with a 3 cuts it to 1-25. This is a rematch again of a game that Maryland just won on their home court in College Park. So a minute to go in the first half in the Big Ten tournament with the in Chicago, Maryland, and Iowa. So where's Sammy Hagar playing?
At the Dolby Theater in Park MGM. It's I heard it. I haven't been in there yet. I heard it's a pretty nice setup. So he has residency there for, I don't know, I think he's there for about 10 shows. So
I got a homeboy, my buddy. So no, but that's not the MGM Garden. That's not the MGM Garden. That's different. Okay. Yeah, we had a buddy that just got back non-smoking facility, right?
Yeah, that's what he told us.
Park MGM.
Mm-hmm. Was there last week?
Yeah, the whole casino's non-smoking.
There you go. So very good. Behave yourself now. All right. we don't want you getting in trouble. Anything else that you're on, golf or whatever? And I know I have one more for you. So, Charlie, would you agree with this? Duke is the number 1 seed. That's it, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, win, lose, draw.
Yes.
Michigan number 2.
Yes.
Arizona number 3.
Yes.
Florida 4.
I can't see any other scenario unless Illinois were to win the Big Ten tournament and look good doing it. UConn's already lost, so yeah, I think Florida. Yeah.
Okay. Say Illinois steals it, they would be the 2 seed in that. You know, they're good. They're not falling past 5. They're ahead of UConn. UConn can't get.
Yeah.
My point is, Randy. So these teams might be their motivation or their interest level, their focus might be suspect in these conference tournaments. Would you look, there's some real prices to win these conference tournaments. Would you look on the other side of the bracket? Maybe they can even get beat along the way before the final to try and maybe take a score, take a shot on maybe a disinterested team. We have seen, history tells us that there are more upsets in these conference tournaments with some of these teams that are predetermined, or they just that much better they can go through the motions and still beat the opposition.
Oh, definitely. Them teams in the conference tournament could get tripped up. Duke's got a couple injuries there as well, so I would almost predict that they're going to probably get beat in their tournament.
Okay.
Even though they'll be pretty big favorites against. And then of course Arizona's in the tougher Big Ten. Or not the Big 12. I mean, is a lot tougher spot for them. So you could definitely see them and Michigan too in the Big Ten. That's pretty competitive as well. So. Being locked in, I've seen coaches kind of play a little different here. So, you definitely could see them get tripped up.
Big Dog, man, enjoy yourself, be safe, and have fun. And we will talk to you next week, man. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody out there, and have a good tournament season.
Follow Randy on Twitter at RR39.
The loss for Duke is pretty significant. Foster had started all but one game for them at point guard. He's got a broken foot. He's going to be out. I mean, it's going to be past.
Might be out for the tournament.
Yeah. There's
no
guarantee they'd have to get to week. I don't know if they didn't have to get to the Final Four.
I don't think he's going to come back.
No.
I don't think he's going to come back. You know what I mean? Just there's, I mean, so and then aren't you worried about Shire? The biggest thing he's worried about is another injury.
Yeah, I would be worried about the guy started. This is your quarterback, okay? This is your point guard.
Yeah.
This is your guy, and he's been he's not their best player, but he's very
a point
solid.
guard.
He's the point guard, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would be very worried about that.
So, or do you say, man, I got to get my point guard for the tournament. I got to get him as many reps and minutes as possible to try and get him comfortable with get some chemistry. Develops, and with the limited time here.
Now, they are going to get the big man back for the NCAAs, but he's not going to play in this tournament. So your chemistry is going to be severely challenged with 2 starters out. One of them going to be out long-term, one of them be out short-term.
Don't forget our friends at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. If your homeowners association requires wood windows like mine, you got to call our friends over at Relief Windows, 288-8138, 288-8138, and ReliefWindows.com. For windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades, it's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 11:44 to go in the first half. LSU 17, Kentucky 16. Make that little jumper from the elbow there, and Kentucky takes a 1-point lead away with about a 14-footer. 18-17, Kentucky on top. 11.5 to go in the first half.
Live at the original walk-ons, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original walk-ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net, new Handycast up on the podcast on YouTube. Brought to you by Supreme Rice, celebrating their 90th year in business here in 2026, supporting our Louisiana farmers in southwest Louisiana. Go to SupremeRice.com. Kentucky opens up their biggest lead now, 23-17 out of the under 12 media timeout. This has been a back-and-forth game for the first 10 minutes, but the Cats now with a 23-17 lead. Markel Sutton has a 3. Michael Moko with 6 points for LSU. And Otega Owe with 9 points to lead the way for Kentucky. Other games in progress, NC State has just reclaimed the lead. They got a 2-point advantage on Pitt with under a minute to go to half there, 48-46 at the ACC tournament. Arizona State stayed alive yesterday with their win. They're playing Iowa State right now. The lead is 19-6 for Iowa State here at about the halfway point of the first half. At halftime, Maryland leads Iowa 26-25. Maryland pulling a small upset yesterday to stay alive. They are 12-20 overall. And the Bonnies, who will be looking for a new coach after this season, lead LaSalle 62-43. That game is about 5 minutes into the first half. So get you up to date on the college basketball scoreboard and what's going on right now.
LaSalle. Remember the Chris Jackson year? They had a pay-per-view one-on-one tournament.
Lionel Simmons?
The L Train. Yes,
yeah.
He participated. Yes.
Gary Payton was in it, I believe, too, from Oregon
State.
Gary
Payton was. I think he won it. Well,
yeah.
Bo Kimball. Was in it. Chris Jackson did not win it, but he was in it. He went up, but there was 8 of them. A pay-per-view one-on-one tournament.
I do remember that. Now, I remember Payton being a pain in the butt for Jackson because he was about 6 inches taller than him, and he could really move. He could play what they call him the glove for a reason.
Gary Payton was one of the best
defensive
players.
guards.
Well, no, period, because he could back you down too. He was just he was. Of course, in the as it was appointment to watching during the pandemic, we all watched The Last Dance, and when they talked about the glove, yapping off. Oh yeah,
Jordan
I had it. but for. He was really, really good,
he was a great player.
At that in that stretch.
Great player. Hour number 2 coming straight ahead. We are at the original walk-ons, Burbank and Nicholson. Got all of your college basketball on right now. And golf tomorrow for the players. You have that on this weekend, too. LSU Vanderbilt and college baseball. Live at lunch from the original walk-ons, 104.5 ESPN. That's
Enjoying the finer things in life is his forte. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate.
And we return here at the original walk-ons, Burbank and Nicholson. 25-21, Kentucky leads LSU. About 8 minutes to go in the first half in Nashville. Rab, we got a lot of topics to cover today, so good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, guys. Talking to y'all from Fort Worth, Texas, where the West begins. So we're here for my wife has a convention for her business. So checking things out, where the regionals are going to be for women's basketball in a couple of weeks and NCAA gymnastics. A lot of stuff going on. It's a fun time of year.
all the traveling you doing on you're on your wife's ticket today. I got
That's
it. Okay. All right, let's start with the women's basketball team. Scott, I'm just looking at this, and with Texas's win in the SEC tournament, tell me where I'm wrong here. It looks like the 4 number 1 seeds are set. This is UConn, this is UCLA, this is South Carolina, this is Texas. And with LSU and Vanderbilt having 2 of the 4 number 2 seeds, I think, locked up, it means that you got to put them in the brackets with UConn and UCLA. One goes to one goes to the other, because you're not going to put them in with the SEC teams as a number 2 seed. Am I right here? Am I missing something?
No, I think you're spot on. Those are the top 4 teams in the net, the women's net. Texas. I think one of the questions becomes, they're not going to put LSU as the number 2 seed in a regional with South Carolina or Texas, because they don't want those teams to meet, teams of that caliber to meet. And same with Vanderbilt, and that's right in that decision making. Question becomes, who gets to come to Fort Worth? Come here to Fort Worth, and who gets into Sacramento? And LSU being a 5 seed, the 5 in the net, they were like the 6th. I think last year they were projected as the 6th seed or something like that with the last NCAA reveal. Would they put them with UCLA, or would they put them with UConn? I think being 5 in the net makes them too high to be with the overall number 1, which is likely to be UConn. So I think they're probably getting sent to a regional in Sacramento as the number 2 seed to UCLA, who beat LSU in the Elite 8 last year. But the women's committee, I will say this, Charles and Jimmy, having covered women's basketball for a long time, the women's selection committee is always highly unpredictable. I'm not saying the fact that, hey, the LSU might only be a 4 seed or something like that. I'm not saying that. I mean, they're locked into a 2, which would be their highest seeding under Kim Mulkey. But which regional they send them with, or where they send people, is always a matter of wild speculation.
Certainly wouldn't be the first time that they had sent the LSU women's team west. They've been out there. Patrick Wright could do the sightseeing tours. He could do the tours from probably Seattle all the way to L.A.
They were in Spokane last year. Last year was Spokane. And, of course, again, to people who don't follow women's basketball that closely, there are only 2 – there's 2 regionals in 2 sites. There's not 4 different regional sites like in the men's tournament. So there's 2 here in Fort Worth, and there's 2 in Sacramento, and then, of course, the Final Four.
All right, let's move to gymnastics. They lost at Florida on Sunday. Watch the whole meet. I thought the most telling comment off of the broadcast was your 9.8s are not going to help you today. Look, even with my limited knowledge of gymnastics, I could tell that this is about as high a level of meet as you can have outside of maybe the NCAA championships. Scott, for them to score 198.3 and lose, I'm not into moral victories. I'm just into performance. 198.3 will win you a national championship on the right day.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they scored like a 198.225 or something like that to win the national title 2 years ago. Yeah, for sure. You going on the road. If this meet had been in Baton Rouge, like the meet they lost by 2-10 at Oklahoma, if those meets had been in Baton Rouge, LSU would have won. It's home mat advantage is worth a couple of tenths, And, and it's LSU's, you can't, again, gymnastics is a different animal. You lose the meet, they've got 3 road losses. The only one that's really bad is the one to Georgia, and they're a top 10 ranked team. I think they're ranked 6th this week. It's all based on national average. And, but LSU, improved their average for the season. They're on pace to be, the number 2 overall seed. Still have a shot at being the number 1 overall seed again in the NCAA championship, because they can outpoint Oklahoma in the SEC championships. And it was their best SEC road score ever. So getting this close to the postseason, one last regular season meet at home this Friday against Arkansas, and then you're in championship season. I don't think they could be much more pleased with where they are. They're relatively healthy. I don't think they could be much more pleased with where they are at this point in the season. The wins and losses don't matter so much in gymnastics in the regular season.
Let's move to men's basketball. They are down 4 points to Kentucky in the first half. Whenever they are out of this tournament, most likely today, but whenever, that'll be the end of the season. Next week at this time, do you think Matt McMahon will still be forget about next week. Yeah, let me say next week at this time.
Yeah.
Next week at this time, will Matt McMahon be the LSU basketball coach?
I think he'll be allowed to fly home with the team, unlike another LSU coach.
Right, yeah, they're not going to fire him in Nashville.
Right.
But next week at this time, is he still a coach?
Again, I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I think not. I think he is not the coach next week. I think there's enough dissatisfaction. There's enough time has gone by. I know they can make a case, especially if the financials don't work out. And then is there a certain coach coaching on Tobacco Road who they could at least they could get interested in coming back? I think he'd at least talk to them. I think he'd at least have his people listen to their people. So all that being factored in, I don't think so. But I don't think it's a slam dunk. As I've said, I think the financials matter in this situation. There's a lot of money to be spent. What do you think? As I put in my column the other day, $20-25 million to buy him out, buy out another guy, build a roster, all this stuff. And then, they spend the money on football, but that's football. Is there that wherewithal to do this for men's basketball?
I'm going to have plenty to say about this tomorrow if LSU loses or whenever this is over. But if I hear that one more time, that if they fire him, they have to build a roster. Does that mean that if they keep him, they're not going to pay any of the coaches next year? That they're not going to put any money into the roster at all? That they're just going to let it sit there? This whole idea that there is a new cost with a new coach on men's basketball. The cost is firing the guy. The cost is his buyout. The cost is a buyout of a coach that you bring in. I get that. But when they get into, then you got to build the roster. Does that mean y'all are just going to ignore men's basketball next year if this guy's back?
It's 2026. Everybody builds a roster every year.
Yeah, I mean.
More so in basketball, even in football.
And then you have to pay a coach next year. Guess what? They can't expunge themselves from the Southeastern Conference. They have to field a men's basketball team, and it has to be paid for. Now, whether they want to stink or not, that's up to them. But this idea about, there's cost. They got to build a roster next year. They have to do that anyway. So I'm not taking this out on you, but frankly I'm tired.
Yeah, you are. Poor Scott.
Frankly, I'm tired of hearing now. Well, they're going to have to spend money on players next year. They got to do that anyway. If Jimmy's the coach next year, they got to do that anyway. So
I'm declining.
I get.
I don't want to start.
Let me move on because I got to do this in another day or two anyway when they're out of the tournament. The new golf commissioner was holding court. This is their version of the State of the Union for golf today. They do this at the Players every year. Max, you got a chance to listen to the whole thing, and Scott, you got a chance to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, what do y'all think?
Yeah, what'd you hear this morning, Scott?
Brian Rolap, late of the NFL, the new commissioner, laid out 6 points that they're points of emphasis for the tour moving forward. I'm not going to get into all of them, but the ones that pertain to the Zurich Classic, New Orleans. There's going to be 2 tracks of events. One a higher track with like 21 to 26 events from January to September, and the second track of events that will quote unquote ladder up players into the first track. We're talking relegation and the promotion, kind of like in the Premier League. Bigger fields and cuts. 120 players, bringing back cuts to some of these elevated tournaments, which is not the case right now. And then the promotion and relegation part, and then bigger markets. I've never understood. Like I'm all for the tournament support. It's the tournament being in New Orleans, of course. But I've never understood why the PGA Tour has gone away. Why they don't have an annual event in Chicago anymore? Why they don't have an annual event in Seattle? Why they don't have an annual event in the Bay Area? And he talked about that. So, but this is tough. This is very complicated, man. This is very complicated. It's not like getting the NASCAR driver said, "Hey, the guy's putting, Wonder Bread's putting $25 million on the hood. You got to race every week." You're not going to get. You can't convince me you can get Rory and Scotty and Xander and Victor and all these guys to play 20 events from January to September. And then on top of that, they might want to play on the DP Tour a few times, and you might have you get the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup every 4 years, the Olympics, that sort of thing. But it's a very difficult situation to figure out. But it doesn't impact the Zurich Classic, obviously, and it could. But we're going to see where it goes from here. But it's one of those tournaments that you think is going to be in the danger zone.
Yeah, Scott, it feels like the Zurich has kind of been a unofficial B level event for the tour anyway. So I think they're going to make it a little bit more formal now with the promotion or relegation you spoke of. I thought Rolapp did a great job. I thought he was very eloquent and a lot more presentable than Jay Monahan's been, but that's not saying a whole lot. But coming from the NFL, he didn't have a big background in golf, but it seems like he's really picked up on some of the things that the fans and players have been asking for, talking about match play in the playoff, specific events that they're looking for. What did you make of his overall vibe, considering his background is not in golf, but he spoke a lot about how he's always looking to learn a lot more about it.
Well, the golf, as we know, is very staid and very tradition bound, good and bad. And this guy was obviously hired to come in and shake up the old guard, the formula. And it's not going to be we look at this, but it's just going to be like that. Yeah, I think the fact that he brought in match play and being part of the playoffs, I think that was something. But again, I'm concerned for the Zurich Classic. There are a lot of Zurich Classics out there, right? And there are a lot, and New Orleans is not the biggest market, but you have a very committed title sponsor in Zurich, and I think their American headquarters is in Chicago. They're not like demanding that the Zurich Classic move to Cog Hill or Medina or something like that. They're very happy in New Orleans. They're very happy with their relationship with the city and the Four Kids Foundation and everything. And so, would they be willing to pony up a little more to be in that, let's call it the upper tier of the PGA Tour? I'll make it something realm of possibility, but there's a lot to be decided and a lot to go on. And I was impressed too with Rolapp. I haven't really liked him too so far, but I thought he did a good job. He painted a lot of broad strokes, but obviously change of some form is coming. But getting the players to agree to play as much as if you got to put up more money to be a title sponsor, you got to want to guarantee that those guys I mentioned are in your tournament, and that's going to be very difficult to do, I think.
The one thing I was concerned about, and that was answered here, I didn't know if there would be a Zurich next year, to be certain. He made it seem like he doesn't want to bow out of any of these sponsors. He's not trying to get out of any of these contract things. He's going to honor the contracts as they are, and as you mentioned, Zurich's been a good sponsor there. So I think the Zurich is safe for at least the next few years. Yeah,
they just re-upped a new sponsorship deal with the Four Kids Foundation, who runs the tournament. So, and look, it's an attractive. It's not Quad Cities, right? It's not Greensboro. There's a lot that's attractive about the New Orleans stop. It's got a lot of history. It's New Orleans. You come there during Jazz Fest. There's a lot of it's just the city itself is obviously used to hosting big time events. So, I hope, for their sake, that those things will appeal to the tour. But it's definitely one of those tournaments that's got to be wondering, where is their place going to be in this new hierarchy. But are they going to make all these changes that he outlined today? Are they going to be able to pull that off in like 3 years? But it's another thing too, guys. That he talked very specifically about the NFL. There's $30 billion out there in TV rights, and the NFL would like to double that with an 18-game schedule, and they want to get deals with their TV partners ahead of the NFL making its deals. And I think time is of the essence for the PGA Tour and all its sponsors and partners and players, that sort of thing.
Tour deal media rights is up in 2030, so he's got a few years to get that in order.
You keep this up, the NFL is going to play year-round, okay? They're going towards that, okay? If you fast forward, get in the time machine, go 50 years from now, they'll be playing football 12 months out of the year. They're going to the night before Thanksgiving. They keep inching their way.
Charlie,
man.
you can't. It's just,
I'm joking a little bit, Jimmy, but
I know.
Every time you give them a little bit of an inch,
don't get me started.
They barge in, man.
The most impactful single game of the season last year was a divisional game in the NFC West, and they're going to play, and it could be the best division in football again next year, and you're going to play a damn game in Australia.
Yeah.
A divisional game. That is, at some point when you tear down all the kingdoms, greed. There's greed, and then there's this. that is ridiculous.
It ain't slowing down. Scott, safe travels. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All the best, guys. Thank you.
We're brought to you by the Thibodeau store. The Pierreport store now open in LaRose and LaPlace. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, Highway 70 in Pierreport. You can save big on a lot of your spring projects right now. Go to the website, thethibodeaustore.com. big discounts from Greenworks and DeWalt, from Roundup, from your Milwaukee's tools, your Channel Lock tools, up to 40% off of some of these things. If you're working in your garden, working in your yard, the Scott's Lawn Care 4-step programs are featured right now. There's spreaders and seeders, outdoor power equipment. You get grass and weed control, potting and topsoils. When you get everything cleaned up and ready to go, add some new patio furniture, our outdoor cooking supplies as we get into spring at thethibodeaustore.com. You're doing a little building, need some lumber, Thibodeau Store will be at thethibodeaustore.com. You can make those orders, get them out of the Pierreport store. Those are available for delivery. And same-day pickup on everything that is on the website, so shop right now. All 4 sites are accessible from thethibodeaustore.com. Okay, we're under a minute to the half?
Yeah, LSU's down 2. They were down as many as 9. They crept back within 2. Kentucky at the line, under 2 minutes to go. Last media timeout of the half. So Kentucky at the line 4-2. NC State has stormed back. They were down as much as 9 as well. They're now up 8. Their biggest lead of the game, 59-51, 17-50 mark in the second half. So, and in the Big Ten, Maryland and Iowa, it is
44-34.
Iowa has jumped out to a 44-34 lead. That's their biggest lead of the game. They trailed by as many as 9 to Maryland early.
Lots of tournament basketball here at the original Walk-Ons, Burbank and Nicholson, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
They go to the break in Nashville, 46-43, Kentucky with the lead. A late bucket from Max McKinnon cut into Kentucky's lead. It's been a back and forth type of game. Yeah. The largest lead for either team. Kentucky got out to a 9-point lead, but not for very long. Most of the way, this was a 1 or 2 possession game.
Their defense would drive you bananas, dude.
Mm-hmm. Kentucky shooting 53% from the field.
There you go.
LSU shooting 48% from the floor. Rebounding numbers pretty close to even, 17-16 for Kentucky there. And your total turnovers, been a fairly clean game. LSU's turned it over 4 times. Kentucky's only turned it over twice.
Very clean when you don't play any defense. And that's the thing. Remember the Johnny Jones meter, Charlie? Because, look, college basketball, because you have so much variance, because the perimeter shooting, and listen, all perimeter shots are not created equally. You got clean looks and you got contested looks. But generally speaking, that's the variance. One game you could be hot from 3. The next game you can be cold. Okay, that's the biggest variance. So you have different outcomes accordingly. But the one thing is constant. This is what basketball is all about: the cheap points, the easy points. Remember when Johnny Jones was here? We'd have the layup, dunk, free throw meter.
Yeah.
And how many, opposing points came through those easy, high percentage shots. That's high percentage pass, layups, dunks, and free throws. LSU would drive you crazy watching them play defense with some of the easy buckets, the cheap buckets, and it's just hard to be competitive when LSU. What are they shooting from the floor in the first half?
48%.
Yes, they're shooting it, man.
Yeah,
they look fine on offense today. But that's when we're talking about the coach, and we talk, God bless Rudy Macklin, but Rudy Macklin said give him some money. He's got money, Rudy. That's not the case.
No.
That's not it. All right, Rudy's one of the best to ever put on the damn uniform, but that's just not accurate. He's got the money. The thing is, as a coach, when we talk about, they do not defend. They don't defend.
No, they don't. They don't close out at all very well, and they don't have a low post presence that is going to affect a lot of shots in the paint. And no, they're just not good.
But Charles, they don't. I don't see an effort on defense either. I don't see him. I see so many. Man, put a guy to the floor every now and then. I mean, show me some, some toughness, some effort.
I see it sometimes. I saw good effort against A&M on
No
Saturday.
argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I see it sometimes.
Okay, that's your one. They played 18 of those damn games.
I know. There's
that's too far and few between. Oh, I can remember this one game of 18, and there's been a few others. But like the Kentucky game, the first one, they played hard. Kentucky didn't score as much in that game, if you remember.
Yeah, I can debunk every one of these reasons to. It's basically because if you like him, you want to say something good about him. They play hard all the time. No, they don't. They never led against South Carolina in their building. They never led against Mississippi State in their building. They led for 2 minutes against Oklahoma in their building. They lost all of those games by double digits. No, they got blown out of their own building by the bottom of the league. And no, they don't play hard all the time.
I have a theory for that. Because the better teams don't come.
Coast in, yeah.
Yeah, they don't come ready to play.
Yeah.
The bottom dwellers, the bottom feeders, no, they're hungry for a victory.
Yeah, well, this is a shot for a win.
Right, so that's why that's happening so much to the weaker teams. Because you think Arkansas played real hard. Now, when they followed up, and because they gave them a scare in Fayetteville, well, you saw what happened. Arkansas was way more focused, from jump in that game. But no, you want to talk about the biggest critic. No, they don't play hard for him.
No.
South
Carolina finished second to last in the league. They never led in this building. Never led. Mississippi State finished, 5 straight losses, and I think they were 5-13. They never led in their building.
Led. They were losing like 26-8, and
they were losing by 28 at the biggest to South Carolina
in the first half, huh?
Yeah,
the first half.
And Oklahoma was 22. I don't know, but no, they don't play hard all the time. I'm sorry, they don't. Iowa State goes to the break on a 23-6 run. Roof's falling in on Bobby Hurley, 45.
So much. That's the 16. One game that the team that's out of it in the first half they got beat. So Pitt out of it. First half they covered the halftime line. Maryland out of it. They covered, led outright the first half. LSU out of it. They covered the first half. Now it came down to a McKinnon shot, a jumper, but 3-1 on the teams that get off to an early lead. The other teams, all of the other teams are in. Iowa State, Iowa, NC State, and Kentucky. So they kind of coasting in the first half. Just a philosophy, 3-1 early in the early slate. First half lines.
This might be my favorite description of the abomination that is the Big 12 courts. Our friend says it looks like they added color characters on top of a black and white movie.
So
it's getting worse as they go along.
The artistic opinions, it's interpretational. Everybody has their taste. It's kind of like music, okay?
Sure.
All right. So you have, but when the players say slippery, no, out. You cannot compromise the playing surface.
Looked like they were playing on the surface of the moon yesterday.
So when they have the NBA in-season tournament, they play on those courts.
I'm not wild about that either, but at least they're colorful. Okay.
Well, what I was going to say is that some people like them, some people don't. You know what they are, but never one player said, "Man, these aren't the quality of a normal player." That's all I care about.
Right.
That's all I care about.
We got to be careful. We slide into grumpy old man territory big time when it comes to art. Me and you, we're traditionalists, right?
Ooh,
there's nothing wrong.
I was probably the oldest guy at 21 Pilots in Vegas, but
there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with the wood floor. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Sometimes traditional works just fine.
Our buddy Happy Fond, who's a contributor of the show, who was and did the story for SI for that Chaminade, Virginia game that you referenced earlier in the show, his company sells the courts to the NCAA tournament. I'm not a fan of. I want to see Rupp Arena when Villanova pulls off the biggest upset. I want to see Utah Utes. I want to see the Omni when Danny Ainge went coast to coast to beat Notre Dame for BYU. I mean, that's kind of that's character. I mean,
it does. Shaq played on the red, white, and blue courts in Boise his last game. It also helps when there's 4 games going at one time.
Orange, blue, and white, my boy. Orange, blue, and white.
Orange, blue, and white.
That's Boise. You know that.
Yeah. The at first glance, when there's 4 games up, it's easier than the generic courts that they have. We've managed to complain about them being too artsy-fartsy and too generic in the same segment, Jimmy.
I don't think I'm as
up.
grumpy as you, Charlie.
Today you might be right.
Fair.
Today you
Get
might
off
be
my
right.
lawn.
Yeah.
Oh, I am that guy. I care about my lawn too much. Stay off my damn lawn, boy. So anyway, don't forget our friends at Go Chevrolet. Go Chevrolet, Lee Carney, Nick Richard, Concierge Service Department. You talk about convenient, and then there's their service department over at Go Chevrolet. Had some electronical issues with my vehicle. They scheduled. I called them up. They scheduled for a guy to come in. We were doing a show over at Chris's Specialty Foods on Highland Road. Came up and picked up my vehicle and brought it in to be serviced. They left me a loaner for the day, and they called me up, said this is it. This is what's going on with it. Do we have your approval to do the work on it? Absolutely, go ahead. They did the billing over the phone. Came by the time they were done. He brought it back to me. I was at the house at the time. We'll bring it to your house. No problem. Well, you talk about convenient. That's what you have with their concierge service department. Go Chevrolet in LaPlace. Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine. Go Chevrolet West in Plaquemine. And go Ford down in Waveland, Mississippi. Mention my name, Jimmy Ott, for VIP pricing. I don't just talk about the vehicles from the Go Automobile dealership family. I drive my Chevy Tahoe that came from Go Chevrolet and my buddies Lee Carney and Nick Richard.
Live at the original Walk-Ons, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our Wednesday consensus golf picks are brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
All right, again, real quick before we get into our golf picks, Kentucky leads LSU 46-43 at the half in Nashville. Game one of the SEC tournament. First time Kentucky has ever played in the first round of the SEC tournament.
We get to the golf picks. You asked Scott next week at this time if McMahon would be the coach.
Yeah.
I'll say yes at this time next week. I don't think this administration is firing before they have a guy ready to accept the job. And I don't think the number one choice on their list is in a position to accept a job.
Yeah, he's leading by 13 right. He's leading by 13 right now in the ACC tournament. They're going to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they're in.
I think
they're going to be playing Thursday or Friday.
Jimmy, I think the question is, and I know how I feel.
Who's going to be the coach next year?
Well, it's not that he's their number one choice. Is he their only choice?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Because of the economics.
Yeah. Because he can come in with immediate boosters. Because he knows.
Yes, because he has boosters. How many coaches tell you, man, I'm fundraising more than ever? Football, basketball, baseball, women's basketball, tennis, you name it. You're a college coach. You're fundraising more than ever. And his part of that work is done, is in place, which makes him not just he would excite. Will Wade would excite. He might not be the best. Oh, we can make have all kinds of debates about that. If he'd be the best for the job, but as far as level of excitement, people in the stands, ticket sales, number one, and fundraising head start, in place fundraising, number one.
Yep. And I'm going to throw this number out there.
You can't afford to, if he's ready to come, you can't afford to pass up on him.
And I'm going to throw this number out there again. The SEC teams get $73 million from the league. The ACC teams get, on average, $44 million a year. Long term, there's way more money in this league.
We talk about the Big East. We talk about some of the coaches that were willing, looking elsewhere. And it is two conferences. They are coaches with clout. Will Wade wanted an SEC or Big Ten job ahead of an ACC job last year.
Right.
He took the best available at this stage of his career, a year ago.
Let's take LSU out of the equation for a minute here. We had this discussion 2 years ago when Dusty May had his choice between the Louisville job and the Michigan job.
Oh, yes.
He took the Big Ten job.
Yes, even though, but Louisville.
More money than just about anybody.
Top 5 every year out of 350, 360. every year their budget is top 5.
Yeah.
And he still took Michigan, as far as the Big Ten stability.
Because you wonder long term what the ACC is going to be able to give to Louisville versus what the Big Ten gives to Michigan.
He has some roots in Big Ten country as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the only reason.
And
but
he can have a similar budget, if not the same, because Louisville will give him a budget. The guy at Louisville has budget.
Yeah.
He has Dusty May's budget. Okay? But
for now.
No, but Louisville, Charlie, for 30 years has been top 5 in budget. They're going to continue to put that. That's their number one. That's their number one sport.
I agree with you.
They got donors, boosters with basketball interests that will they're always top 5. Always top 5. They're an exception to most ACC schools. Okay, but you also come with that type of your higher donor percentage as part of you get into higher expectations. Higher expectation at Louisville than you do at Michigan.
You do, and I'm going to just say this again. Louisville will give the highest percentage of their budget, but their overall budget compared to what those Big Ten schools are.
But would he care if you're? I mean,
because
what does Jay Johnson care if it's coming from the boosters or from the administration? Because he's going to have a higher budget than everybody.
If he gets it from the boosters, that's one thing. If he's waiting for it from the administration, they'll just have less to give. They'll still give the percentage, but they'll just have less to give.
Louisville
overall.
Louisville will be with top 5 every year until they're not. I got to believe that they will be. It's been 30 years.
The Big Ten's outdoing them $30 million a year. So
I know. But Louisville is going to compensate for that. I think he went there because he's comfortable with he's just kind of from that area a little bit.
It's worked out pretty well for him.
He works. He hustles.
He's a good coach.
Yes, he hustles.
Really good coach.
He has embraced the overachievers and these student managers never play are pretty good coaches too.
No entitlement for sure.
Willie Way?
You can make criticisms of him. There are some to be made, but entitlement ain't one of them.
Max, who we got?
All right, so one of the plays, just full disclosure, who I'm not going to give out any more, but I did bet him last week, Jimmy. You know about this. Akshay Bhatia 60-1. He's down to 45-1. There's been a lot of movement on this board, and one of the reasons I wanted to get to that is Colin Morikawa was 24-1 on Monday. He's down to 20-1, and I'm still going to play him at 20-1. I'm that confident in his game right now, and he's going to be the most popular pick this week. So sometimes that scares me off, but he is playing outstanding right now. His driver, he's hitting it further than he ever has in his career, and he's a two-time major winner. His iron play is always great. He won at Pebble Beach, where the wedges are important, and finished 5th last week when I had him at API. So 20-1 Colin Morikawa, he'll be uber popular, but I'm going to take him anyway. I think he's right there with Scheffler and Rory in terms of chances to win this week. Matt Fitzpatrick 41-1, also hitting the ball really solid right now, and he was really popular last week at Bay Hill. Didn't really show up. He was 41st place, and his approach play was really bad. But I think that was just a one-off. He's driving the ball well, and he's always seemed to fit this golf course a lot. Finished 5th place here 2 years ago, so Matt Fitzpatrick 41-1. Hideki Matsuyama 42-1. Has played pretty well here over the years. Never won. Charlie, I'm going to give you a little trivia note here. He's never won, but he once finished the tournament with the lowest score. Do you know how that's possible?
Did he disqualify himself for signing a bad
scorecard?
I'll give you a hint. 6 years ago, 2020 Players' Championship.
COVID?
He played the first round. He was the first round leader, shot 8 under par. The tournament was canceled after the first round. So he was leading the golf tournament after round 1, but the tournament was not completed.
Was it Rahm that got sick in the last round or tested positive?
That was Rahm. Yes, that was at the Memorial, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. So that happened during the COVID years, but nevertheless,
Jack knew he was going to jump to live, so he rigged the test.
Yeah. Doesn't have a win.
St. Doctors, Baltimore Ravens.
Hideki doesn't have a win, but top 25 finishes galore here at a tournament where you can play pretty tough. Did miss the cut last year, but already has a win at the Hero World Challenge earlier this year. Finished 2nd, of course, right there at the Phoenix Open. I think his driver's gotten a little bit more in sort since then, so I'm going to play Hideki Matsuyama 42-1. And a couple guys at 70-1. Shane Lowry, 70-1.
He's going to finish?
Look, I don't know that he can. He's got 3 wins. He tends to choke a little bit, but he was 14-1. Just a couple weeks ago at the Cognizant Classic, and he was right there in the mix. Now you're getting him at 70-1. It's a much better price here. And then Adam Scott at 70-1. Australian golfer, has won here before. Playing really good golf despite his age. He's now 45 years old, but hitting his irons as well as he always has and finding the driver. One thing about all these picks, Jimmy, they don't miss on the left side of the golf course. Most of the trouble here is on the left. You actually are better off missing in the right rough than the left rough on all but 3 of the holes where you'd have to hit driver. So par 4s, par 5s, you're better off missing right. All these guys I have do not miss in the left rough all that often. And the other thing, all 5, Morikawa, Fitzpatrick, Matsuyama, Lowry, Scott, all of them major winners. Since they've moved the Players Tournament from May to March, it plays a little bit differently than it did before. It plays a little bit longer, more driver heavy, different grass types, no Bermuda on the greens. A major champion has won every rendition of the Players in March. Now, Cam Smith hadn't won one at the time that he won the Players, but he ended up winning the Open later that year. But all 5 of my guys here have won major championships. I think it's that elevated of a tournament. It's not a major. It's not the 5th major, but it's big enough to where you've got to have some closing ability. So Morikawa, Fitzpatrick, Matsuyama, Lowry, and Scott, my 5 plays this week.
All right, the common pick brought to you by consensus pick brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. You heard Wes Reynolds. For those of you tuning in normally, Wes Reynolds gave out Morikawa, Ludwig Aberg, and Cam Young and Victor Hovland. So the consensus pick brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, Colin Morikawa. So the recently married, got a baby too?
Got a baby on the way.
Baby on the way.
They're expecting. So he announced that after Pebble, and he's in good shape. Like, he's good vibes. He's talking well in press conference. He was very disheveled last year with the media.
Just a year ago. This time a year ago, it was
after Arnold Palmer, the Bay Hill. He rubbed him off and he doubled down and he was in a bad spot. But I like where he is right now mentally.
Yeah,
Caddy.
They had reports that people were trampling on his lawn. Kind of.
Oh yeah, that would make him pissed off. I get that.
He was firing caddies like Steinbrenner used to fire managers.
Settled in a little bit there. So I know he's going to be super popular. Everyone's going to be betting him this week, but I can't miss out.
Big Steinbrenner.
Yeah,
not the current Steinbrenner.
The
everybody gets
old man George, right?
How many times would Cashman and Boone have been fired by now? Cashman about 5, Boone about 3.
Cashman caught him at the absolute right time. Cashman caught him when he was at a point in his life where he was still alive and still spinning, but he wasn't as volatile. He had mellowed, so Cashman got to reap the benefits of that late '90s run without getting fired for any 3-game losing streak or something like that. He caught it. I mean, I ain't saying his job's easy, but he caught it at the best possible time.
Downtown Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Since 1984, the law offices of O.C. Brown has diligently served clients in Baton Rouge and across all of Louisiana. Our attorneys specialize in personal injury, wrongful death, DUI, and traffic offenses, criminal defense litigation, power of attorney services. I just did a session with them. You talk about it. You've been injured. Got my car totaled. Called Dana. And listen, it is a pain. It is a major inconvenience. But he is going to make it this whole process as pain-free as possible. The biggest thing is dealing with the insurance companies. I mean, they are trained to deal with them. They are going to. They're not going to be as aggravated. They're not going to let you give them the rigmarole, and are going to also get you what you're entitled to. So they will take care of all of that for you. Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Take advantage of their free initial consultation. Just call 343-1111 or go to their website at ocbrown.com. Big yellow box says get a free consultation. You can do it online as well. Our consensus golf pick this week, Colin Morikawa, brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
Kentucky by 4, 17 and change to go in Nashville. Back to wrap it up here. The original walk-ons live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the original walk-ons on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU with a 1-point lead, 54-53, 15 minutes to go in regulation in Nashville on what has been a close game pretty much the entire way. at the SEC tournament. We give Mickey Loomis a ton of grief on this show, and a lot of it's been deserved, but a little bit of a resurgence in the last year, I would say, for him. Yesterday, he pulled off a magic trick, though. This is not a big, impactful move, but I noticed it. They traded last year's starting punter Kai Kroger to the Texans for a draft pick swap. They sent a 7, they got a 6 back. It's 3 years from now. It's a 28 draft.
For
the fact that he got anything
punter,
at
you already had one?
Not only did he only have one, Kai Kroger was terrible last year.
Yeah.
He was 30th in the NFL in average yards per punt. He was 31st in the NFL in net yards per punt. And he had 2 punts blocked, which was tied for the league lead. The fact that you got anything, the fact that you got your phone call returned for him is an accomplishment, especially when the day before you signed a punter to a big-time deal. You know they're going to cut him. Would they think there was going to be a bidding war for Kai Kroger? I mean, since Morstead left, it's been a revolving door of bad punters for New Orleans. They actually got something for this guy. Kudos, Mickey.
No kidding. I don't care if you get a po' boy. I mean, geez.
Yeah,
I agree. And as much as they love trading up in picks, why wouldn't this 6th-round pick in the future come up to where they can trade up in a draft for actually a much better pick? You always forget about, that 6th-round pick, they traded that too. That's a lot of draft capital to move up, but sometimes it's off of something like this.
Also, like the Kadeem Ellis sign yesterday, 3-year deal for him. Ellis led the Falcons in tackles last year. In fact, the last 3 seasons he has been very, very productive for the Falcons. I'm going to say this out loud without trying to do the New Orleans voodoo jinx. He has not missed a game in the last 3 seasons. 107 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 6 passes defensed, an interception, a forced fumble, and a partridge in a pear tree. He's a stat stuffer, box score stuffer. Been a good player.
Caden Ellis had 7 sacks in his last year with New Orleans in 2022.
Yeah, he sat really the first 2 years he was in New Orleans, and then he had the one good year, and then he signed a big deal with Atlanta. He's coming back, and you got to wonder. Sonny Styles has been mocked to the Saints a lot in some of these drafts after DeMario Davis left. Maybe takes him off the board, too. Saints may be there's one linebacker, okay? Styles, if he's off the board, they don't
go
have a
linebacker that early.
Right. Yeah. One running back, okay? They don't think Love's going to get there, so they cover that in free agency. If they're going pass rusher or wide receiver, there's more than one guy that fits. All I'm saying.
You say that there's a possibility that they did not want to draft Love at the top 10 pick, too.
That could be as well.
These games are coming down to the wire up, and NC State minus 8.5 is up 7 with 4:50 to go. Iowa minus 11.5 is up 11, 72-61 with a minute to go. LSU down 1 with 14 minutes to go against Kentucky.
Everybody have a great day. Tomorrow we are at Bally's. Thanks to Walk-Ons, and stay tuned for Hunt 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.